Peace and blessing. Shout out to my YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook family. Guys, okay, let's get to this. And let's see if we can come to a conclusion. If you know this month is Men's Mental Health Month, and it's Men's Health Month, and it primarily focuses on men's mental health. And if you watch any of my videos, I talk about mental health, spirituality, I talk about economics, politics, whatever. So earlier today, right after work, I had to run to this little conference where I met with some people. And okay, let's explain this. I thought when Kevin Samuels passed away, a lot of this talking points and rhetoric would go with him, but it's still lingering on. So let's just get to the point. We have a lot of men, especially brothers, we're kind of like going through an issue when it comes to the opposite gender. We're on both sides, it goes both ways, but what we're gonna first do here is we're just gonna talk about what the men are feeling, and then we're gonna talk about how we can come to a conclusion. Because once again, when you look at the relationship between us and the opposite gender, you will notice how much politics are involved, how much economics are involved, how much ideology is involved. Sorry about that. Ate something, it's the end of the day, but I'm heading out of here after this one. But, okay, let's start out with the guys. When being in this conference, it almost turned into like a woman bashing moment. Like, and I was kind of embarrassed because I'm like, all right, guys, what are we gonna really sit here and just go in on women for like a good 2 hours? This is what it's about. But I had to sit back and think like, well, if you do look at the relationship with your significant other or the opposite gender, there is a lot of different moving pieces, right? And especially for us brothers, because of war on the black man and how we're marginalized and oppressed a lot, and I know people are gonna sit there, our relationship with our women is very unique, right? Let's talk about the first subject, right? A lot of brothers feel as if they're in a space to where they don't even, one thing I'm noticing, a lot of brothers, especially my age, really don't care for relationships at all. Really don't care for them. Reason being, if you really look at it, it's a lot of economics involved. A lot of us brothers out here are not making the income we would like to make to be with somebody. And with being in a hyper-consumerism and capitalist country, in a materialistic country, inconspicuous consumption, sometimes being a man, you can feel like you have to be a wallet, an ATM. So if you're not able to provide on a certain level, you start to realize women in this day and age, right, will give you a harder time. Okay? Now, why is that? Because through the women's suffrage movement, women are able to take care of themselves. Surprise, guys. This isn't the 1920s anymore, right? Women can work, they can make their own money, even though they get paid less than men on average. That is true, and I'm not trying to sound like a feminist or pandering. It's the truth. So they don't have to put up with what their great-great-great-grandma had to put up with. They don't. Now, once again, us as black men, we've never been able to, and this is one argument I don't understand about a lot of women in our community, is they say it's a patriarchy. When has a black man ever been able to have a patriarchy in this country? We redlining, Jim Crow, mass incarceration. We've been at the bottom of the totem pole fighting this whole time. Black men have never been the ones holding down any women. We've been trying to survive this place. So that argument that I hear from a lot of women saying the patriarchy, don't talk to us. Go talk to them. You're especially when it comes to white women. Go talk to your husbands. We've never been part of that. We've never been part of that. So anyway, So one brother in particular, while we're having a conference, he gets up and he says some of these women's expectations are unrealistic. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that because in reference to my last situation with the lady I was dealing with, at the end there, we weren't together, like I said, but at the end there, it was kind of like it was almost like a competition. I felt like I was with some other guy, and I'm looking at her like I'm not going to compete or fight for you. I'll try my best, but at the end of the day, it's your decision, it's your life. I don't want to have to feel like I have to convince you. Either you're over here on Team Chief Mariah, or hey, may I'm have a good one. But this guy is over there with the money, just throwing it at her, And I said to her, don't you think it's kind of awkward that he's spending so much money on you in such a short period of time of knowing you? Don't you see like the mental but once again, birds of a feather flock together. She's like, oh no, it's perfectly normal. Okay, moving forward. There's a saying that Kevin Samuels used to say, which I disagree with at heart. Lead with your wallet. Do not lead with your wallet. Do not. Because how you enter the door, first impressions of everything, is the standard you'll be set at. If you come through the door, this is what I'm trying to give reasons or answers to brothers, because a lot of us brothers is Mental Health Month. It's like I see you feeling some type of way towards women because they say their expectations are high. But how are you coming through the door? If you're coming through the door as Mr. I got the wallet, hey, let's go to this expensive restaurant, and let's go to this event, $40 for the event, then let's get some dinner. You spend 30, I spend 30. It was 40 a piece. Nowadays, the prices of everything are crazy. So now you're at 120. Then you get some couple drinks. Now you're at 200. Then you get some dessert. Now you're at 250. And that's the standard you set walking through the door. Right? So guess what? That's where she's going to place you. This is what you do. So then you want to turn around and go to a taco spot, a hole in the wall. And once again, to the ladies, where I do agree with the fellas, he was doing a gesture to get you through the door, and this is when they start saying you manipulated me. Get you through the door, then you're realizing, oh, I'm spending too much money. So now guess what happens? When you spent the $250 on a date, $300 on a date, and I don't care who you are. If you spending $300 on the first date, you're tripping. I don't care, right? And then now what happens is after you spend that money, you feel like you expect her to act a certain way. So now there's already tension through the door. And she's like, thank you, but isn't that what you just do? Now you're feeling like that's an investment. So now it gets weird. So both of you are acting weird. Both of you, right, are acting off. Just look at statistics. They say about 50 to 60% of marriages end in divorce. And the main reason most marriages end in divorce is because of finances. And when you start talking finances, you're talking economics. The reason why I say, when you look at the Republican Party, the conservatives, even the Democrats, and why they're so horrible is because when the price of everything starts going up and wages are stagnant, wages haven't changed in the last 20 years, they haven't adjusted for inflation. So $20 that was 20 back in the day it's almost like 10 now. I remember going to the grocery store and getting 4 bags of chips for $1. Now you only can get like 2. You know what I mean? And if you don't understand that, so when you're working, you're trying to provide, but rent's going up, gas is going up, everything's going up. So when you meet somebody, if the basis of your relationship is economics, which is important, don't get me wrong, it's important. But if it's more of a spiritual connection, an energy, a soul connection too, so that when these hard times come, which are going to come, we have an economic crisis about to happen real soon. Donald Trump with all these tariffs and all this BS crap and the closing of Hormuz Sea over there with Iran. Right now, I don't even own a vehicle. I take the train everywhere. I said, oh no, I see this coming. I'm not about to be worried about this. So those are the statistics. Most of it is ended in economics. So when you and your significant other are arguing and something's going on, you have to look at the economics going on around you, the politics going on around you. She feels as if she's working all day, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. You're working and you're just getting by. Instead of looking at the system at play, you two, you black man, black woman, instead of looking at the system, y'all start blaming each other. Oh, you should have finished college. Oh, you should get a better job. Matter of fact, you get 2 jobs. It's because you're lazy. And it's like, no. You have to understand what capitalism is. These elites that own these companies and these institutions aren't paying you more. Back in the day, you didn't need a college degree to have a nice house and a car. You didn't need one. Let's say in the 1920s, 1 paycheck. In 2026, 2 incomes. You brothers out there who are like, no, I want my wife and my girl to stay at the house, and I don't know how you guys do it. Unless you are making an exorbitant amount of money, a good amount of money, to working. I watched my mother and father work their whole lives. Both have PhD and doing well. Both worked. So when I see a brother who has a decent job, but his wife doesn't work, and it's like, you're living in a Disneyland. And this is what I say to Black America. We need to get off the internet. I understand if it's stuff like this where we're talking information and sharing ideas and knowledge, great. But you guys are watching fake lives. It's fake. If you think you can make it in 2026, unless you're some entertainer, very wealthy and well-to-do person, and once again, we're not talking about the token Negroes who say, look at me, I did it. Tokens, because you're a token. You were handpicked by some corporation to say, we need a black guy on the board just so we don't look racist. We meet quotas, we get taxed, but we get Jim. And Jim gets in the door and he goes, see, I did it, why can't you? Because there's a war on the black man. Like, what are we talking about here? So, 2 incomes. When I tell a lot of you brothers, when you meet a woman, right, be yourself. If she takes it, she takes it. If she don't, she don't. Move on to the next. Because you will spend years. I can't explain to you. Like I said, I've left childhood now. I'm a man, grown man now. I can't tell you how many of brothers I know who got married back in the day, getting divorces, this and this and that, because the reality of the real world as an adult starts settling in. And I'm not going to tell anybody what to do as far as when to get married or anything, but what I would say is make sure that before you jump into that space, because it's one of the most, if not the most important decision you're going to make in life is who you're going to spend it with for the rest of your life. Make sure that you guys understand each other to the T. Make sure that you and that person have dealt with your demons and your traumas. Also, make sure you have some career of some sort. Now, once again, as a black man in America, it's hard. I get it. We get the short end of the stick. We really do. You know what I mean? We get the short end of the stick. Most people won't understand he's another black guy on the internet complaining. Whatever. We don't care what they got to say. They don't know our lives. They don't understand the sayings you would hear as a kid. A black man has to work twice as much just to get what a European gets. You know what I mean? You can't be late ever. You can't miss anything. You can't get upset. You have to walk a thin line. And if you mess up once, that's it behind. So what I'm gonna say is in Men's Mental Health Month, at the end of it, because in every one of these little meetings and conferences, women come up because women are very important as a man's development. I personally believe as a man, you're not a man yet until you have a woman and a family, because that's I think, the ultimate level. But at the same time, rushing it without personally being prepared and ready for it can also destroy a man. So if that means you have to wait, if you're able to do it at 29, great. 35, 45, 55, 65, I tell brothers all the time, we're not women. You can wait until you get it together. Because I've seen a lot of brothers, at 22, 23, we're just running outside. 1 baby, 2 baby, 3 baby, 4 baby, 5. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you babies. And now look at their babies now, they're grown human beings. Dad, I need a car. Dad, I need this. And I'm like, man, okay. We don't live in, this is 2026. This is the reason why I keep telling a lot of brothers, read, stop reading and watching the NBA. Get you the book, get you the magazine Economist. It's an app. It can come straight to your phone. Wall Street Journal, financing. See where the world is at. Because a lot of y'all brothers are crashing. You know what I'm saying? And then you turn around and you blame the woman. We can't do that. We can't be that people. And then you just see it all over YouTube. We're the only group of men on YouTube just bashing our women, just bashing. She's greedy. She's this. Look at her body count. Hey, man, it's 2026, brother. If you're looking for Virgin Mary, what world do you live in? You live in a weird... Now, if she's out there, yeah, of course, yeah. But if you're looking for that, I don't know, and you live in the United States of America? All right, so you're pretty much just saying I'm going to be single until the day I go, which I don't think is healthy. And I think that adds to the mental health crisis. Single men add to the mental health crisis. A woman helps build you, but you have to be on that path already, though. She can't raise you. She's not your mother, and you're not her father. It's a partnership. This is the partnership. And the idea, and this is the last thing, I'm going to agree with the brothers before I get out of here, because I got to agree with the brothers real quick, because I'll be beating y'all up a lot over the head. I'm going to agree with the brothers. Brothers, you have to understand, a lot of these women that we're dealing with depends on how they were raised, are coming from houses and families with the men in their family, because, like I said, during, we had Jim Crow redlining, segregation, then we had the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement took down the segregation. Then those leaders like Malcolm Martin, Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, all of them were assassinated. And after all the leaders in the community were assassinated and all the grass community institutions were leaderless, what the government then did is give those other people, the well-educated black people, jobs in the federal government. So it kind of left the black neighborhood naked of any type of leadership in these United States. And then you have going into the 70s and 80s, what they then do, Ronald Reagan and all these other guys, they drop off the crack cocaine, the heroin epidemic, the Iran-Contra in the black community right after that. So that means either you're selling it or you're doing the drug. After that, about the 80s, going to the 90s, Bill Clinton comes in with the crime bill, the 96 crime bill, which locked up more black men than anyone's seen in history. There's been more black men that go to prison than there were on slave plantations and throughout the years. They were locking up black men that much. So you gotta understand, a lot of these sisters are grown up in households where there's not much presence of a black man. So when you're dealing with these sisters, you have to understand their psychosis, right? For instance, like I said, I use a personal example. With the last beautiful young lady I was dealing with, her grandma was with a woman of the same gender, lesbian. She never met her dad. Her grandpa was somewhere else. Her mom had 3 children, all different dads. Her aunt was also with a woman of the same gender. She had a little brother, and that was it. There was more, but the household was just all women. All women. I came over there once And I could just tell like the energy is hella feminine. It's a matriarch in there. And I could tell the way they talked about men and it had like a negative connotation to it. So that's the main reason why I try to work with her a little bit, because I was like, I get that you don't even know what it looks like. Like one time, this is at the end, right? Me and her have a conversation about relationships, what you trying to do in life, how trying to get married, have kids. And I had a real conversation with her, because she said, she said something like, I don't really want to work. I don't want to have this and this. I wanted to, and I remember telling her like, this is 2026. Like, you need 2 incomes to live. Like, this isn't and this is to the ladies. Y'all seriously want to, your great grandmothers worked, your mothers worked, your aunties worked. Why all of a sudden women in this generation, especially black women, do not want to work? They think soon as they get married, some of y'all, it's like done working. You're not a man if you can't pay for everything. How did you literally get out of slavery, antebellum, civil rights movement, working, scrubbing white people's floor, taking care of their babies, a nurse at a hospital, teacher, and then all of a sudden you get the princess. It's like, I remember my mother worked and she was pregnant with me while working. But this generation of batch of women, but once again, like I said, we got to give them some leeway, brothers, because these sisters been through a lot also. So we're going to end with that. This is Men's Mental Health Month, and we're going to work on mental health, and we're going to also work on our spiritual health. This is day number 9 of the revival. You know, we're going to make sure that we stay prayed up, speak to Jesus, Muhammad, or whoever it is you talk to, Buddha, you know what I'm saying, African ancestry, connection with God. Once again, someone said you pray to your ancestors. We didn't, in African religions, you don't pray to your ancestors. Your ancestors are conduit to God. So you're not praying to your grandma. You talk to your grandma so they can speak to the Most High for you. But anyway, yeah. So, guys, mental health, relationships, I understand, is a huge part of having stability in the mental health, because I know I talked about before, waiting till, you can wait, but I want to say wait too long, but a huge part of helping a man develop mentally is having a woman. But make sure it's the right one. Don't just run out there chasing anything and then you get ran over like roadkill. And now you're angry at every woman. Oh, hate women. Listen, me personally, I'm not any type of womanizer, but if I see a beautiful woman, I'm gonna say, hey, how you doing? I'm gonna interact. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be respectful, but I'm gonna interact. And you'll be surprised how many of these sisters out here, they'll throw you the mean face, but they really soft, but they just been hurt. So to all us brothers out there, it's Men's Mental Health Month. Let's make sure that we're focusing on that. We're doing the words of affirmation, staying prayed up, stay praying, and stay focused. There's a lot of things going on in this world. Like I said before, the economy is crazy. There's wars going on. There's famine, austerity, and we just gotta stay prayed up to the Most High, and just keep working, keep grinding, brothers and sisters. All right, so that's it for today. I'm gonna head out of here. Oh no, real soon here, I'm gonna start doing longer formats. And I know one of my friends is like, your videos are too long. And I said, no, they're not too long. They're not too long if you have the attention span. It depends on what you're into. The type of people I want to address are people who are really gonna watch the whole thing. Like if you're just a scroller, which I think isn't good for content creators, the scroller guys, just let them keep scrolling. They're never satisfied on the internet. But all right, man. I'm gonna talk to you guys later. You know the slogan: chase knowledge, don't chase money. Peace, love, positivity. We out of here.